like my computer sometimes, like it was working well now in the Joy Lab, right? But sometimes the sound is not good, then it makes some noises, and I don't know. One never knows what's going to happen with my computer.
I'm just gonna lift my computer up a little bit.
Yeah, so I think we are live.
Cool.
Yeah, and I will keep on scrolling down to see the comments once in a while. And I'm very grateful and joyful to be with you here today and finally get to know a little bit better. I don't know, it's different.
Yeah, because you've been in my awareness for ages. I don't even know how or when you came into my awareness. And then I had that dream about you. So I kind of feel like we've met because I had that dream. And I was like, what was that dream? And it was that I was staying in a house and I didn't realize it was your house until you walked into the room and you didn't realize I was staying.
Can you repeat again? So you had a dream, which I remember something, but I don't remember exactly.
Yeah,
how was the dream?
It was, and I was in the laundry room. I remember that. There was something like washing machines. I remember that bit. And I was staying in this house and it turned out it was your house, but I didn't know it was your house until you walked into the room. And you didn't know that I was staying in your house until you saw me there in the room. that was like it. That was the dream.
That's super funny. Today I was thinking about I was really happy to meet you, and then I was like, maybe it's what people call lucid dream. I don't know. It was like suddenly we were in a forest, and there were all sorts of magic beings around us, and we were just going around and playing and together, and like fellow companionships or something. I don't know sometimes I don't know the right words in English, but like friends from since ages, and we were just doing magical things and playing with beings, and then I felt like everybody that will join this conversation will be in that place with us. That's what I felt.
I'm just looking for, there we go. I'm just going to share the post on my feed.
I think since I tagged you, I don't know if it's already there or if you shared the post.
I think I have something where you have to have permission for it to go. Yeah, so I'll share.
Yeah. But if you share the post, it is already live. That's what is good with this restream. It's like if you share the post when we go live, the live appears in your page. That's really nice because you don't have to share. And and I'm really enjoying to use this tool, and because it's something that everybody can use. Whoever feels like having a conversation can create one, and I love this new concept of giving in advance to the people, and then
and giving from the heart without expectation.
Yes, but really, like I was speaking about like these apps, like Restream, because they give the app for free. It's like the Mirror Lab that I have been playing with the Mirror Lab, and it's free, and you can try play a little something more professional. You pay a professional signature. I don't know how do we say, but it's different concept than before, because before, if you wanted to use some app or some program, you had to pay always, and now.
Yeah, I tried to look for Mirror Lab because it's got a different feature that I don't have on the one that I have, but I don't think I think maybe it's not available for an iPhone. It didn't come up.
Yeah, it's Android.
They were really beautiful images because they don't always show beings when you do the Mirror app, but yours were very, very clear. And it makes me laugh, like when you're doing the Mirror app and suddenly there's like, a row full of faces looking at you, and it's almost like they're going, "Hi, we've been waiting a while." And it's a little bit overwhelming sometimes because there's so many. And the more you look at them, the more you see, like the eyes from one will become the ears of another or the nose of something else. And, you can see all these different beings that really look like beings, like they definitely look like fairies. And as far as I'm concerned, they are. They are beings like the ones that I did of the Kaleidoscope stones on the Isle of Lewis. Like that was really powerful. There were so many beings, and those stones are thousands of like they've been there for thousands of years. So it's almost like those beings made themselves present in the stone all that time ago for now, which is just mind-blowing. And I've got, is that me? You look like you froze then. Yeah, I was doing some the other night till about after 2 a.m, and they were from these photos from Australia. So it was something that came up in my memories. And there's this beautiful, like knobbly tree root. And even on the original photo, you look at it and you're like, whoa, you can just feel the presence of beings in there. So I was playing with that yesterday, and there are some fairy cards like Brian Froud's fairy cards where when you turn the cards upside down, the faces completely change and you see a completely different set of faces. And I've got a set of 16 of these. Like there was 78 photographs that I've got to share that came off these few photos, but 34 of them are sets of 2 photos. One's one way around and the other's the other way around, and you can just see completely different beings in there. And that's a real kind of fairy thing to do. That's a real like fae joke, it's like one of their jokes that you kind of, it's almost like a riddle that you turn it upside down and you see something completely different. But I was getting so activated. It's not surprising that I wasn't tired at that point, because you just get so activated looking at all these beings, because they're all transmitting energy to you. But yeah, I wanted to say that the ones that you did as well, they were very clear, the beings in there, because you don't always get them. If you look at a tree and think, oh, perhaps I could get a photo from that, it's often those that don't turn out the way that you think it will do. It's often the ones where you just take a photo because it's a beautiful tree and don't think about it, that all the images kind of come through.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to sharing some of those.
Yeah. No, it's super magical, and this app really, it's a pity that you cannot get in. But probably they have some similar. I don't know. But this one is really nice because it doesn't have advertising, and you have so many options, and you can zoom, and I don't know. It's amazing, the effect, and also the Kaleidoscope. I also love very much the Kaleidoscope effect.
Yeah, that's sorry, go on.
No, go. Yeah.
I was just going to say it's the Kaleidoscope that I don't have that feature on mine, because I think it's Photo Mirror. and it's got lots and lots of options, but it doesn't have the kaleidoscope. But I've got something else called Kaleidomatic that I can always put the photo in to get the kaleidoscope. So it's such fun.
Yeah, and it's, as you say, and it's funny. So now I was imagining you before sleeping, laying on the bed, right, and doing that, and me at the same time, because I have been doing that lately a lot before sleeping. The time just flies, and when I see it's like 2 or 3 in the morning exactly, and I'm like that. And then when I close my eyes, I keep on seeing more, like, let's say, more geometry. I don't know, sometimes when is the kaleidoscope, and so that's the idea of the kaleidoscope lately is coming to me. That's because I'm always like, I don't see exactly things, or I just feel energy, and I try to feel what brings me joy, and but it's sometimes it's like I get a very quick image, like whoop, a lot of information in a row, and then these days it's like the kaleidoscope thing, because it's like what we are living, our reality is like, I don't know, it's like a kaleidoscope, and because you turn and everything rearranges and creates new patterns and new, I don't know, it's I have been like, oh, this is a kaleidoscope, we are living in a kaleidoscope, I don't know, and everything is mirrors, everything that is happening around you can be a mirror for you to see if you feel like it. So it's really exciting. Magic.
Yeah, totally. And it's really interesting with the kaleidoscopes how different they become. Like it because, as you know, sometimes when I draw the light codes, when they're mirrored, it's a completely different energy, and but it also contains the original energy too, but it's then got a lot more transmission, frequencies that become added from that. And some of the geometries that I've been creating recently, I've put those in the kaleidoscopes, and that is really mesmerizing when you're like playing with them, and then you're just like, whoa, and then you try and stop it, and it doesn't stop, and it keeps going, and you can't get it.
Get it
back to where you were. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yes, it is. It is.
And I love these new ways of being creative, because I wouldn't say that I'm artistic. I couldn't sit there and draw your face and have it look anything like you. But that's not what it's about. It's really exciting times, I think, at the moment, because we can be creative. And even people who think I'm not creative because I'm not artistic, you find different ways that you actually can be creative. And it feels really important at this time that we're able to tap into our creativity, because as creative beings, that's what we're here to learn. And I think tapping into our individual creativity helps us create. Like, it just helps us actually create, as in creating what we want from life, and creating, like manifestation, creating in that way.
Oh, I just lost you. Are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah, I totally feel what you are saying, and I feel the same. I was in a gathering some days ago, which is a group of artists that the main organizer, like the main creative person, the main idea came from a girl, and she's called Eugenia Emmett, and she created a project which is called the Eternal Forest. And the Eternal Forest is about creating. It's most of the persons, they are artists, but they are starting to see art and creation in a different way. And like Eugenia, she picked like eucalyptus leaves and eucalyptus the skin. How do you call it? I don't remember the skin of the eucalyptus tree.
The bark.
Yes, I think it's that. And so, and she was creating with that, creating with nature. And as we were talking about this, and I see there is similarities because it's a new way of creation, right? So the artists use natural forms, and then from that form create and expand more, which is what we are doing when we are using these mirror apps or this Kaleidoscope. Is the same. And as you say, so everybody can do it, and there is no more that idea that is because I don't know, at least here in Portugal there has been this like elite of the artists, and the ones that are the artists and the regular human beings that are not artists, you know, this kind of separation. And now things are coming together in the artist field too, I feel. I don't know if you see the same in England, but I feel, yes.
That's really beautiful. Yeah, I don't know. Where I live is quite rural, so there's not that many, and it's, you know, like some places are very like artisan, that they've got that energy about them. It doesn't really have that here. So there probably are places where that happens, but not really so much in my world. It's 1717.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Yeah, this is amazing. This because I remember before we have just to acknowledge, we have Christine Kandler. Hello, Christine, and she's asking, yes, Mirror Lab and Peg Kennedy, and I don't know if we have anybody else with us. Let us know in the comments. I will leave the application, the app link in the comments, Christine, if you want to see it. It's for Android. And yeah, but that what I was sharing with you, it's not happening here on my area. It's happening. It's happening in a virtual meeting.
Yeah.
So yeah. So Eugenia, I think she's in the Lisbon way, and she's doing ideas and share and what they are doing in their and then this group, the Eternal Forest, they try to bring people together in the meetings. They do, like she did an amazing conversation with an Australian anthropologist in which he spoke about the importance of eucalyptus for the Aboriginals, for instance, because here in Portugal, eucalyptus tree has been seen as a bad tree because of the fires. Big fires, and people died in a big fire 3 years ago, and so she is trying to bring a different view, a different look into eucalyptus tree, for instance, and so yeah, she's doing a lot of stuff, but she's not here too. It's like here is I live in a farm, and in this region there are a lot of farms, and so people don't think very much about art too, in general, the people that were born here, but we have a lot of foreigners coming to live here right now from many countries, many different countries. And yeah, so many things are starting to happen. Also, people from big cities are coming to live here, and they are doing permaculture or agroforestry and a lot of interesting stuff. And And this land, I guess I told you once we were chatting on telephone, this land is a very, I don't know, I feel I'm broadcasting this land. Whenever I go live, I'm broadcasting the energy of this land. And I created this strong connection with Gaia. As I'm speaking with you, I'm feeling the energy. So usually when I finish the live, I'm really exhausted sometimes, but exhausted in a good way. But it's really like I feel I'm broadcasting this land. And actually, there was a small chapel. There is a small chapel here in the farm, which was from Santa Lucia. Santa Lucia was a saint from Catholic Christianism, I don't know, and it was the saint of the vision. And yeah, so it's a very interesting area here. And also there is a small river that they call the Lucid. Lucid means and then the light came. And this Lucid river goes around a big rock, which they used to do like 7,000 years ago. There was a god in the Iberical Peninsula, and this god was called Endovelicus, and the people will come here to worship that god. So I think there are a lot of ley lines and powerful energy in this place. And yeah, so it's something I have been these days really feeling, I don't know how I'm feeling, but I'm really busy these days, all the time.
There was a point when I was trying to sleep, or maybe it was this morning when I was just doing a little bit of energy work on myself before I got up, that my head started spinning in the bed, and I don't get that very often. So yeah, I think there's a lot of strong energy coming in. Now I've got a few things I want to ask you now that you've talked about the energy of Portugal, because I'm partway through reading a book by a man called Freddie Silver, and he talks about the Templar nation, that Portugal was created as a Templar nation. And to me, the Templars, and especially, things may have been tainted, but really their mission was to spread the word of Yeshua, but from the ancient texts, like the Gnostic way of being, not from how the message was changed by the Christian church. And it seems to me that they were very switched on, and they knew all about the sacred geometry. So there's a place, is it Tabor or something? I think it's got the letters T, B, and R in there, and there's a big like castle there that they built. It was one of their original places. I'll have to look it up. I was watching on a
Tumar.
Yeah.
Is it Tumar? Yeah.
Yeah.
Tumar. Yeah.
So yeah. I think the energy from there is very special. And just my image as I'm thinking into the land is, a bit like Anglesey, that it may not be a very big piece of land, but the energy, there's lots of very strong ley lines there. And what Freddie Silver said in something that I watched yesterday was that when the Templars originally wrote Portugal, or Portugale, or Portugal, but the way that they'd written it was they'd kind of, and if you didn't know about what he was saying, if you didn't know about the way that they used to hide codes in there, you wouldn't see this. But what they'd actually said in this emblem was the doorway to the Grail.
Yes.
So the implication was that the Grail energy, and I don't think the Grail is necessarily like a gold goblet.
Yeah.
I think the Grail is more an energy, but to do with them protecting the bloodline, like the bloodline from Mary and Yeshua, that was their job, that they weren't fighters as such, like they may have been knights, but they were there in a protective role, in a protective capacity. So it's somewhere that I would really like to go to when when we can.
When we can. Yeah, you are already invited to come here, right?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I have told you that some time ago. I don't remember in the message. I told you, come here. I invite many friends to come here. There's an archaeologist, which I know, which he's from this region, and actually he was the guy that was investigating and digging in many archaeological sites here, because in this farm there is also one archaeological site. It's an old anta called Anta de Santa Luzia, and we have a lot in this region, in Alentejo and also in Tomar.
Yeah.
And I know that because after I came to live here, then I got a message do a rain dance. So I was searching a place to do a rain dance, and because I was searching on internet how do I do a rain dance, then I didn't find many stuff, but I said I'm doing it anyway. I will feel it and I'll do it. And then we did in that place which I told you before, Rocha da Mina, and it was amazing because we did rain dance, and then after like 2 days started raining and rain during 3 weeks without stopping. And then the river was full, and we asked for it to be full, and it was full 3 times, and they have to open the gates to let the water. So it was amazing, and so I was searching for a place for the rain dance, and I thought about that place, but then I was having a look into also here structures, but also there is in Évora, which is 60 kilometers from here, there is a circle of stones, which is called chromolectus dos Almendres, and that place is a really powerful place. And actually there is a community here in Portugal which was created because a German woman, she was sleeping in that circle of stones, and she accessed many information, and she was guided to create this community. And so that guy, the archaeologist, he told me that he has a theory about Stonehenge being connected with this circle of stones, chromolectus almendres. And he says that chromolectus almendres was the first one. And then from this one, they created the other ones and Stonehenge too. So it's really very interesting if you start to have a look. It's really very interesting.
Was that the photo that you shared? Where did I see that? Was that you that shared? Oh no, that wasn't you. That was someone else.
I shared not chromolectus almendres. I shared another stone circle which is really close to here, and which is called, but it actually is not a circle; it's a square.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's called chromolectus do cherish, but actually it was moved. Let's say because the original place is under the water right now,
right.
So they moved the stones. And so, like many people say, it's like a faked place. I don't feel like this. I feel that when the guy that moved the stones, he was guided to put stones in a certain way, even if he was not an exoteric person. But then when he was moving the stones, something shifted in him, and he started saying, I'm feeling that this is this way. And he was a very scientific guy. So something happened with the guy. And I feel that he created a line. And so it was like extending the line to another place, but it's still there.
Yeah.
It's there. From that, the place where the stones are now, you connect with the place under the water. So actually it's adding something more, it's creating something more. I don't know, for me it's not, but like the archaeologist guy says, oh no, but it's not the same. I don't know. I feel that's a very powerful place. And that place is close to Montserrat, where is a castle, which I see from here, and which one of the Templars was there. And actually there is a book that a Portuguese guy wrote about all the story. So he says it's kind of, he channeled a little bit information, but also he made some research, and it will be amazing for you to read it. But still, I don't think he has a translation. Actually, I proposed myself to help him, but then I don't know. I felt I was not being able to do it, because every time I would think about translating, I wouldn't feel like it. But it's a very interesting theory, and it will be amazing for you to read it. So at the same time, I feel that that book will be interesting to be translated. And I don't know if he is working on it, because he was working on it. I can ask him if he already did, but we would love to, because it's all the story about the Templars, Mary Magdalene, and yeah, it's all the story. And he says that the heart, there is a city. How do you call the cities under the crust of the earth?
Like in inner.
An inner, yeah. So he says there is an inner city under a lake up to the north in Portugal, and which he says is the main one. It's connected to all the inner cities in the planet, and he says is the main one. It's the Anurea. He call it Anurea, something like this.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we have a lot to talk about this subject. I don't even remember all the data, but it's very interesting. It's very interesting. And yeah.
I went for a little drive before I cut it short because I wanted to come back for the call. And I didn't really know where I was going, and I didn't want to get lost and then be stuck in the middle of the country with no reception, not being able to get hold of you and say I was going to be late. But I found myself looking around here. That there's a place called Rosedale, and there's somewhere, it's a little country, like I don't even think, it's not even a town, I don't think it's even a village. I'm not sure if it's got a church. And it was called Rosedale Abbey, but it's never had an abbey there, which is a bit strange. Like abbey is another word for a church, but it used to have a Cistercian nunnery. Oh, I just got such a funny feeling saying that. So I don't know where the nunnery used to be, but the Cistercians, I think, had links to the Templars as well. I think the Cistercian monks had links to the Templars. So it's interesting that it was a Cistercian nunnery. My feeling is that the energy might be quite strongly female around there. And generally places with rose in the name are linked to the rose lines, like Roslyn.
Yeah.
If it says Rose Lynn, it's usually referring to the rose line. And this has come up a lot with me recently. I seem to talk about this a lot, that I feel the rose lines are really being activated at the moment, but more of them, it feels like branches off the rose lines are coming into, almost like you've got your arteries and your veins and then your capillaries. And you've got smaller vessels that go to the capillaries. That's my feeling at the moment, that those smaller like veins or arteries are being activated at the moment. So there's a lot more And it makes sense as we come into our heart space that we will be activating the heart lines of the earth and tapping into the heart lines of the earth. But it makes sense as we do that, that more and more of those lines are going to be activated. So I didn't know where I was going to drive to, but I just set off. I drove past my house and thought, okay, just guide me where I'm to go. And then there's a right turn going towards Rosedale. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Because I'd Googled it the other day and I knew it wasn't too far away. But it was 7 miles and I didn't really have time to get there and come back. So I only went part of the way. But I felt it was something to do with the call as well. Even though I didn't get out of my car, I felt that me going along the land, I was picking up some energy. And I felt that it had something to do with our call. So it's interesting what you say about the little chapel on your land as well. And also, you've probably heard me mention the Mary Magdalene Chapel around here, which isn't that far from where I was going. So I feel that there's very strong feminine energy places around here and energy lines. But I felt that, yeah, it had something to do with this call. And it's interesting that I think you brought it up and not me originally. I think you brought up Mary Magdalene before I did. So I found that interesting that you were already kind of picking up on that energy too.
I'm losing you a little bit now. It's I don't know if it's mine, if it's yours.
I think it's yours, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, probably it's mine. Yes,
yeah,
not
it looked like you froze.
Yeah. But it's just before we speak, actually, not just before, this morning, close to lunchtime, I was picking a friend some time ago. She offered me a notebook where you put your events and the things you have to do. How do you call it? An agenda? No, I don't know how. Yeah, a schedule. But it's very nice because it has a lot of small text explaining things about the women, about the menstruation, about relationships. Very interesting. And I was reading one about pregnancy, and then I had really because the author, she was speaking about how it's beautiful giving birth, and also how it's such a sacred moment, and also it is a part of our sexuality too, even. So it's not, it's supposed to be a pleasure moment and not pain moment, which we were made to believe, in the sense that it has to be painful. And also she was speaking about having the baby and being with the baby during the time that the baby is still in our bellies and everything. And then I was remembering of my pregnancies, because I had 4 kids, but in all pregnancies I was half depressed and moving home and crying and living in drama and a lot of stuff, and then I felt that I have to really work with that moment of my life and create a drawing, because some time ago I was doing some drawings that I would call mandalas, but they are not actually mandalas. They are the kind of drawing I was doing in the live today, but more small and more with more, let's say, codes, and they are round. That's why I started calling mandalas. And so I felt I have to work with that moment in pregnancy. So it's very bringing that now. So I felt that although I'm in peace with whatever happens, whatever, I'm very grateful for all my experience as human until now, and that is something, because before I was not grateful, but I felt that I can go there, and because there yes, souls of my kids, in the sense that and yeah, then I remember we will be speaking, and I thought it was related to you, this energy of the mother and of shaman too, and yeah, because I feel you very much like a mother, and your voice, it's when you speak, it's a mother, and it's loving the love of the mother.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. It's interesting that you raise that, because there's two things relating to that. So I've never been pregnant in this lifetime, but I know I still hold that mother energy, and we don't necessarily have to have birthed a being to birth and to mother something. So when I'm creating codes, I birth codes. When I was writing the book, that was very much like it was such an amazing creation, because it's all from your so-called from your imagination. It was like the book had been written already, but you really feel like you're creating this world, you're creating the characters in it, you're creating the story. Everything in there is kind of your creation. But also relating to that, and I was wondering whether to share about this, but because you've brought it up, it feels right. So I watched something on Gaia the other day, which was an interview with Regina Meredith and this lady. I can't remember her name. It might come to me. Marguerite is her first name. I can't remember her second name. And she's talking about immaculate conception and how that actually happens. So when initiates were trained in the arts, they knew how to birth inside them, and they knew how to birth and create a baby inside of them that was more from the God spark than from, physical sperm. And often the reason why they were virgins was to keep that space pure, so that it was only her energy in there that would be of a high enough vibration and frequency to be able to hold the child that she was going to bring in. So Marguerite talks about immaculate conception and some of the beings that had done that. And she also talks about Mother Mary, obviously, because that's who she's referring to. But she was saying how before she started writing this book, she'd never really connected to Mother Mary. Now, when I go to the Mary Magdalene Chapel, it's the Sisterhood of the Rose that I connect with. And I always feel Mary Magdalene first, and then Mother Mary behind her, and then Isis behind her. And I connected really strongly with Mary Magdalene and Isis, and I've never really connected so much with Mother Mary. And Marguerite in this interview said, I think I just used to think Mother Mary was a bit boring. And Mary Magdalene was more like, she had this reputation of, of being a prostitute, or at least of knowing the arts, the sexual arts. So we're perhaps a little bit, she's a bit more subversive, which is probably why she holds more appeal. Whereas Mother Mary, in my head, was just a bit boring, really, and a bit pure, a little bit too pure for me, really, from where I'm at. And her speaking that, I was like, I've thought the same. And I hadn't really fully registered that I hadn't connected with her. And in doing so, through watching this video, I really felt her energy coming in, which was very different from how I'd imagined it to be. Like it was much more similar to Mary Magdalene's energy in some ways. And of course, she was an initiate, and she would have trained Mary Magdalene. So of course, she knew about everything that Mary Magdalene knew about as well. So yeah, I just think that's interesting that you brought up about the mother energy, because a little bit I've started connecting to Mother Mary, and it was a very clear connect to, you know, the last of my senses to come online was my hearing. It was slower than the other senses. I began as a claircognizant, so I knew stuff, and clairsentient, so I felt stuff. And then my clairvoyance came online, but it took a bit longer for my clairaudience. I think I didn't want to hear. I'd ask questions, but actually I didn't want to hear so much. But I do hear fairly clearly now. And in the last few months, that has just been switched up. You know, the volume is so loud. And it's like, I don't just hear with my third and fourth ears, but I hear with my whole being. It's like I can hear with my eyes, I can hear with my throat. And I've started, when I'm doing work on myself, to be trying to hear the tones and frequencies of the area in my body that I'm working with. And I felt like I was doing that the other day. It felt like I could hear where there was reverb and where there wasn't, where it was muffled because there was, you know, denser energy there, so sound couldn't get through. And even without me singing, it was like I was listening to the tones of my body and listening to where they were not in harmony and where they were in harmony, and working on them until I felt that they were in harmony with each other, if that makes sense.
Yes, it totally makes sense to me. Absolutely. Yes. Wow. Yeah. I would like to see, I was seeing that Christine, we have Griselda saying, wow, two of my favorites. Thank you, Griselda. And Christine, she was saying a lot of stuff about ley lines, and I think Algarve too, but I'm not able to see. I apologize to all, because with the telephone it's difficult to see all. And we have Zahara. Thank you, Zahara, for being there. And yeah. Christine is saying something about America is a mirror, and Algarve Coast is magical. Yes, it is. I don't know. We live in a magical world, right? That's what I'm feeling. Each day more feeling it. It has been here, of course, but we couldn't solve. But then there were the beings that worked with that magic, and somebody some time ago put some post about witches, and all the witches were people that were working with the elementals and with nature, and healing and using energy, and seeing all this magic. And also, as you said, in the Templars and in Portuguese architecture, they have a lot of, they call the architecture from Dom Fernando, I think Fernandina, in which there were a lot of symbols and figures from the sea also. And they hide, they will hide in many places codes and a lot of stuff. Yeah. That even during time that the church will be controlling and killing, and there will be hidden message everywhere, and they are everywhere, and that you can play. And now I will try to do the same, try to hear what my body is saying, which is amazing. And I was like, I don't know if you want to do a jam. You were speaking, and I'm like feeling like living, and and chanting and sharing some light language, if you feel like it. Yeah. Yeah. Dios here, we are here, here, Andia, ha, yeah. And there is the place here, which is called, it's a community too. And it was from the rose too. Yeah, I just have to share this with you because we were speaking about Mary Magdalene and Rose, and they were from Rosa Cruz, which is connected with the Templars too. And it's another place here in which they built a temple in the top of a hill. And it's a very powerful place too. Whenever I go there, I feel so joyful. And there is Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary and Isis. Actually, they did a connection with, they call this place, it's a connection with the city in Egypt in which for the first time they were worshipping one god, which is, what is the name of the place? It starts with an A. So yeah, everything is connected, and definitely there is this energy here to the Rose, Mother Mary. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I feel that. Kial eran ohia. Bile gnai it erno kut eerst oren ikran. Mel it aron orona kiam pedat onda ta. Il eerst oren nekille. Jell ernoot at aan koko kolet ero. Boy et anaya kala eerst onaya kon. Bile kian eront oi. Malachiat erandaya kora. Ore est orantoi ikidin ai. Meran niekut oist aranatatai. Mikole eran ekit eron. Okole eranakit it ust. Kole eran it tatatan at ut. By eran niekutst it niekra. Mel eran okui. Malachiat on niekut ane kiapant ai nu. Oleachant urneakat unma. Mele kiero no toara na kia porana tietuton. Kir leero no kuiast an ayat oi. Belekian nituist. Iahranak kolla kadetine kiatut oi. Urleha no kot annastut untui atata. Andea kahana haya haya dokot kerkaya dogea hana anoya hanya kia haya dogo. Tiara no kotia kia punyokoi. Tavapadant aran ikeadon. Ole krant a et unst. Kast. Ele kian tanaka. My hands are so hot. Yeah, thank you so much. Do you want to share how does it started to you, the light language?
would you like to share?
I'd love to. Thank you. Thank you for asking that. When I moved to Australia, when I started doing sessions in Byron Bay, pretty much immediately a different energy started coming through, and I started doing different symbols over the body and different actions. And when I was hula hooping as well, I started doing different things with my hands. And so the written light language was coming through back then, and that was a long time ago. That was 15 years ago. But the written stuff started coming through a bit later. So there was the odd symbol that I wrote down at the time, but it was mainly in the air, and it was mainly in sessions. And then I learned something called Anubis Reiki, and I was already a master in a few different kinds of Reiki, but this was a different one. And the lady that taught it suggested that we sync when we do sessions and let the energy come through our voice. And that started with me with just tones in the beginning. And then that progressed to words and light language. And in 2011, there was one sentence that came through of light language, and then nothing more for, maybe 2 or 3 years. And the 8-8 Gateway of 2015, that was really huge for me. I was just about to go to bed, and I was guided to stand with this hand like this, but really high up in the air. And I was doing all this stuff with my hands, and I was like tapping frequencies into my body. And then the following year, I started doing the full body activations. So it felt like the same energy. And I was bringing that energy through in sessions and doing a lot more kind of weaving of energies. But the full body activations came in 2016. And those felt like grid activations. They felt like Gaia activations, but obviously I was being activated with them as well. So it's been a real progressive thing that has just kind of gone more. Each bit has developed more and more, and then the written codes started coming through in about 2017, I think. And when I do the written codes, I speak light language into them as well. So they're like a deep activation. They can take me weeks sometimes, and I'm holding the energy inside me while I birth them. So I can do those on an individual basis, or there's a lot of collective ones that I bring through as well. And the collective ones, like, I enjoy doing the personal ones more than the collective ones, because the energy can be very, very strong for the collective ones. And I usually hold the distortion of whatever it is I'm bringing through. So I've been bringing unity codes through. So I was really working with the distortion of separation at that time, because it's like you're holding both energies until the codes are fully birthed. So again, like the mother energy we were saying, it's like I'm gestating the codes all the time until they're birthed. So when I write them, sometimes I'm just sitting looking at them. It's like they're speaking to me. I'm not receiving a conscious message, but the codes are speaking to me, like their energy is coming in before it comes out through the pen. And it can take a while, sometimes for months. Sometimes I put them down for a while and then come back to them. I'm trying to think if I've missed anything out there. So yeah, even the dancing ones, really, I say that started the full body in 2015, but actually, no, it started when I was dancing with the hula hoop and then without the hula hoop, that I would be doing these, actions with my hands. And I remember someone who was on mushrooms, so he was like, he could see, and he was partly not really hallucinating, but he could see through the veil, and he was watching me dance, and he was like, wow, I can really see the energy that you're like working with. So I think a lot of us are doing this even before we know that we are. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's most of the stages. And how about you?
I some time ago I was remembering, and as I was hearing you speaking, I remember the moment when I was a kid, like 5 years of age, maybe, or 4.5, and we were living in Africa, in Mozambique, because my father was from Mozambique, and we were visiting someone, and so someone played the piano, and I remember I started dancing with the piano music, and I feel that I was, in a way, translating the sounds in movements, and that's when my passion by dancing came. And so actually, I believe I could have been doing this my entire life, but I didn't know. And so I was dancing. When I was dancing, I will feel so happy, and like we were dancing Oriental dancing, and I would love to do like this. And I have like my sister from the heart that she said she says she saw me in another life, and I was dancing, so I was a dancer probably. And but I didn't knew it. But like, let's say some 15 years or more, 20 years ago, no, 15 maybe, I was feeling that I wanted to go to a public place and dance, because I felt that when I was dancing, I was broadcasting the love and the joy and the vibration. I don't know how to explain it. That dance will touch the heart of the other people. And but I was not able to find more people to join me, and because I wanted to go in the middle of the city in Lisbon and start dancing, like a move. How do they call? They go to a place and they do something
like a pop-up.
Yeah, pop-up, and that's it. And because I felt that it was like when I was dancing, I was probably moving energy, but by that time I didn't know what I was doing, but I felt that that frequency will be good for the other people to access. And then time has passed. I connected with Reiki because I saw a Reiki book, and I have heard Reiki called my attention, and I didn't believe in something that imagine some you reaching your. I felt that, and I said, "Wow, I'm feeling." I started accessing information as I was connecting with Gaia and with and playing with the energy, and then all these aha moments came to me, like, okay, so that was what you were doing when you were dancing, and that's why you felt so joyful. And because when we are doing like the light language in the light language lounge, or I feel so joyful, so alive, so it's it's not there is no words, and but I didn't know what I was doing, so it was like when I entered in this spiritual virtual world like 4 years ago, that I met you, and I met Todd Medina, and the conversations, and then it was kind of a validation for many stuff that I was accessing that I didn't know, and and I thought I was weird, or I thought I was like a Jesus, getting a Jesus crazy religious woman, or because I was speaking like Jesus, or things like that. World to me, and it's really, that's why I asked you to share with people, because, and I'm right now, I'm like, I do like language. And our, or the heart language, I don't know, because sometimes the idea of light, people can imagine that it's something external, or, but we are the totality, right? So I don't know, it's more, for me, it's more, I see more heart language, because it's, this is the gadget for for this pulsating between this totality and us, in a sense. I don't know. And yeah, so that has been, but so you helped me a lot when you explain, and other people that explain and do, and I felt inspired to do, and to step up and share. And because here in Portugal, I don't see people, I don't have friends that do this in flesh, just you and other virtual friends, which we are, I don't know, it's like, I love everybody, but I love my virtual friends, many of my virtual friends. We know, I know you, I don't know, we have been in another place, and this is amazing that we can come together this way.
Yeah, it so is, especially, you know, the timing of everything couldn't have been more perfect. It's a beautiful time to develop those connections and find the soul family who are all over the world. You know, they're not necessarily your local people, they're not necessarily your blood family, but this is the time for really connecting with them. And it's yeah, it's a real blessing. We're so fortunate to have, you know, the computers and the internet and everything, and, you know, as you were saying at the beginning, like live stream and Zoom, to be able to to be able to do this now. Like, it's, yeah, it's a real blessing.
Yeah, it's I know that some people may see, sometimes I see, like, imagine someone watching this conversation and saying, like, okay, with all of this that is happening around the world, how can you be joyful or feel inspired, or say, oh, I'm having fun with it, with something, or, but um, it's a way to, for me, it's the best way I can help. It's by finding joy in small things, with the mirror lab, or with doing the light language, or doing these videos and these conversations. And so when something is close to me and I can do something, I go there and I help, and or I take an action to try to maybe change things if it's possible for me. Other things, maybe the best is for us to see what is around us, what we can do with what we have, and I don't know, and see the abundance, or the joy that we can have playing with an app, or drawing, or dancing, or whatever. Yeah. Really.
The dancing for me got really strong in the lead up, in the 3 weeks leading up to the 21st, the solstice last year, because it was such strong energy. And I was dancing almost every day at that time. And it's eased off a little bit. And it's interesting that was around the same time that Martin did his 21-day dancing thing as well. And it felt like I was really dancing codes in, but not in the normal way. Like, I was kind of just dancing. I wasn't really so much doing light language, but I could still feel the activation. And it's like the universe was dancing through me. It's like the music was expressing itself through me. And I dance, you know, I can let go when I dance so much more easily now than I ever used to be able to. Although, to be fair, this is on my own at home. But even publicly, I think, you know, I don't really get a chance to dance publicly, but it's something that's missing from our lives. I'll often in the forest do light language, and I'm dancing to what's coming through, and it's so tribal. It's like you know, everything is being moved, your body is being moved, and you're bringing through higher frequencies. You're bringing through more than just you. You're expressing more than just you. And it's something that we've forgotten how to do. Like, we don't dance enough, and everyone feels a bit awkward when they dance, and they, I didn't really used to know what to do with my arms so much when I danced and coordinate my whole body. But if you're not thinking about it, it just happens.
Yeah.
But we're often in our heads when we dance. That's maybe the difference, that we're trying to dance with our heads. Obviously our feet, but through our head rather than through our hearts.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just having a look in the comments. We already have the hour, and it has been a joy to be with you.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I've loved chatting to you. It feels like we've been doing this for years.
Yes. Yes. So Christine was saying that, she loves dancing too, and I'll come back to the comments after we finished. I'm very sorry, because I'm not sorry. It is what it is. I'm grateful for my telephone that allowed me to do this, and my computer is having issues, but it will come another computer maybe. I never know. But and it was a joy to be with you, Denise. And I hope we can do it this.
I'd love to. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been a pleasure and an honor to chat with you.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you.
Aqui é C. Yeah, aliás, we.
Kilipiora night arot balagia dadat oist holakaran darada nekishtara nekia. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you all joining this now, whenever it will be. Yeah. I hope you have enjoyed as much as we did. Thank you. So I'm finishing the live.